Hey there, welcome and hello everyone out there on YouTube. Thank you all again for the support and checking out the video. If you are new here, then welcome. Hopefully this can become one of the places you come to find all of your open world RPG, indie, and adventure gaming news, mods, and rumors. We have monthly top lists for games that will be releasing and a huge focus on the Skyrim, Fallout 4, Cyberpunk, and soon to be Starfield modding communities. So YouTube, what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're kind of talking about the end of an era. Fallout 4 modding has always been, let's say, interesting, but there were some really great mods and modding tools that have come out over the years, but it never felt like it really got where it was trying to go. Modding dependencies that were must-have early on in the game cycle eventually became so bloated that they often made the game far too unstable. And yeah, I'm looking at you, armor and weapon keywords resource. So many needs and dependencies, and trying to download any character preset spins you into a rabbit hole of needing 15 different skin, eye, face, body, and hair mods. And as I said, as good as some of the mods have been, an overall glance at the Fallout 4 modded community is just a huge, convoluted, disorganized mess. I love modding Fallout 4 though, of course. I do it all the time. I have a YouTube channel that actually kind of started because of it. So with Starfield approaching very soon now, I'm pretty confident to say that we'll be closing the door on this chapter of Bethesda modding, and we're going to be moving on, and it's going to be great to see a lot of these mod creators go from Fallout 4 and move over to Starfield. And to close this chapter in Bethesda modding, it's fitting to see the final chapter and the big conclusion of what I feel is one of the greatest mods that was made for Fallout and maybe ever made, period, and that's Sim Settlements 2. And since the start, Sim Settlements was something amazing. I greatly enjoyed it from the very start, and it started out as a new modular way to approach the Fallout 4 settlement building. We had a few really nice detailed structures that you could drop in and build in a new, fun, and unique way. This grew more when other modders started creating their own versions of the various structures offered by Sim Settlements. Soon we saw competitions that were starting. King Gath and his team began compiling some of the best fan work, and then they later released those in add-on packs. Then the auto building feature started, and later the ability to assign leaders at your settlement. I could pick one of the many settlement plans, set the pre-built blueprints, and watch the community take shape. This then led to NPCs, and it started to get a more story-based element. And this ultimately led to the Conquerors update, which allowed players to take the role of a raider and build the Commonwealth in that vision. And by this time, the mod was so huge, it was clear that the team had a much more complex vision of what they wanted to do. This led to the end of Sim Settlements and the release of Sim Settlements 2, and again this blew me away from the start. We had all the buildings and everything that you expected from Sim Settlements, but now we were pulled into a deep story spreading throughout the entire Commonwealth, meeting people and learning their stories, learning their past and the hardships of surviving, and ultimately coming face to face with the Gunners and the threat that they had on those who were trying to make it out in the Commonwealth. And it's been a really great experience watching this team start with a simple idea and grew into a team of mod developers that really pushed the capabilities of what Fallout 4 modding could be, and in doing so they gave us memorable characters and a story that for me will always be part of my Fallout 4 experience. And with Outposts being such an important thing in the upcoming Starfield, this is definitely one mod team that I hope looks into the game and takes that leap into the Starfield modding community. So as you know, quest mods and expansion mods are always going to be the one thing that I'm most drawn to, and this next one ranks up there as one of the best Fallout 4 quest mods of all time, and that's the Fens Sheriff Department Bleachers Part 2. The first part of this mod, the Bleachers, did a lot of really good things. There's dialogue was amazing, the story, the quests were fantastic, and it did something else that I thought was really needed. It hit and it impacted Diamond City and made it into what I first kind of expected the first time I showed up there in the crown jewel of the Commonwealth. People living out in the bleachers, people living throughout the stadium and not just piled all into the center. It brought a new feeling and a lot of life to the jewel of the Commonwealth, and that makes sense, you know, it really does. In part 2, the Fens Sheriff Department expands on that same feeling, adding more new voice NPCs, somewhere around 50 new quests, another companion, items, weapons. There's NPCs that patrol around Diamond City, and this was actually my first experience with the mod. I'd started a fresh playthrough and I was arriving in Diamond City on my very first time, and survival, I had a bunch of survival mods. It was crazy. I was barely staying alive, and I had gotten pinned down. I was being ambushed by raiders, and suddenly a group of patrols from this mod showed up and saved me, and it was really a cool way to see the mod for the first time. With this mod, you'll see center field and right field Bleachers area now populated with 2 residential districts. There are 2 new restaurants and a commercial district. And you'll also see the Fens Sheriff Department, which is just down from the city's main gates. And outside, you'll see small groups of this new security patrolling outside Diamond City and even deeper into the ruined streets of Boston. The full mod is broken up into 4 unique storylines, and every part of it is really fantastic. It's just really a good story, and it's done so well. It's a really great time, and it's one mod I strongly suggest that you try out. And next up, we have 2 mods by the same author or the same mod team, and that's the F4 Story Expansion Project. And as the name implies, it's all about stories, quests, and expanding on people and events out in the Commonwealth. CSEP presents Loaded Bases and Brothers in Arms Chapters 1 and 2. The first, Loaded Bases, is a noir-based detective story starting when you join Diamond City Security. It offers about 2 to 3 hours of gameplay as you start investigating a chem trade and then find out that there's a lot more going on. So if you like the detective type thing, then I strongly suggest that you try this one out. And their second mod that released this year as well was the Brothers in Arms Chapter 2. Chapter 2 picks up where the first ended, and depending on the choices you make, will offer up to 11 additional quests. If you're a Brotherhood fan and you want to see the Lions loyalists in the Commonwealth, then this is one mod you'll want to have. So at the start, I said that this is really the ending of the Fallout 4 modding era. I don't see it staying alive and growing like we see Skyrim still doing to this day. And that's because we're still waiting on Elder Scrolls 6, and we will be for a while. I feel that Starfield is going to feed that appetite for those that are waiting for Fallout 5. But before we leave Fallout 4 behind, I want to look at 2 other mods that have been in development for a little while now. And the first is the updated and revamped America Rising 2. If you played through the first one, you know how much potential this mod could have. The story and characters were interesting, and though there were some bugs and a lot of the mods seemed kind of lonely and empty, I thought it was still really good, because lonely and empty, that's just Fallout 4. That's what it is. It's lonely and empty. And I never thought once that this made the mod bad in any way. Otelino, the creator of the mod, recently updated the community, and if rumors are true, he's currently finishing the voice acting, and as soon as that is done, the mod will be finished and it'll be ready for release. If you're looking for an Enclave-based story, then this is one you should keep your eye on, and hopefully, as I said, we will see it this fall. And the big one, years in the making, and that is Fallout Miami. This is a massive project and one I really have no clue when it's ever going to finally come out, if it even does. Over the years, the team has released videos and in-game footage of their work, and earlier this year they released the soundtrack for this DLC-sized mod. There are a lot of resources and items from this mod that have already been released in smaller mods. We've seen some of the creatures, locations, weapons, some of the armor and clothing. They've also stated that there will be multiple factions and a story that will branch out and change according to the player's choices. And again, will it ever release? I don't know, but let's hope so. I don't expect to see it anytime soon, but when it does release, it might pull me back in and convince me to start up one final playthrough of Fallout 4 in the future. So yeah, that's some of the best Fallout 4 mods so far in 2023, part 3 of the video series. And I still plan to do playthroughs and show off some of the Fallout 4 quest mods, but the reviews and showcases are probably going to transition over and focus more on Starfield, Cyberpunk, and continue with Skyrim going forward, as I honestly do expect what's left of the Fallout 4 modding community to move over to Starfield as soon as it comes out. So, as always, everybody, you guys be safe, and I'll see you again in the next video.